I finally got pregnant at 39. And my husband said the unthinkable to me. Yikes! Seriously? You're knocked up? That's insane. Let's get a divorce. What the? I don't want to deal with a troublesome child, born at an older age. So long. I was in despair. We had been together for 10 years, but there was no marital bond between us. My only hope was the life in my belly. I was going to do whatever it took to make the child happy, even if I was alone. I vowed to raise it with lots of love and care. 20 years has passed. When my child grew to adulthood, I bumped into my ex-husband. There was a woman who was disproportionately young and beautiful by his side. He looked at my adult son's face and then at mine and exclaimed, "Whoa, you really did have a child. Insane. Well, I can see that he's managing well. But is he without any disability? After all, you're still a caregiver, right? How pity." His never-changing abuse remarks came out. My gut boiled. But before I could slap him, I noticed the woman beside him turn pale. "Shut up! Stop talking now!" "What the hell? Don't you know who he is?" "Huh? No." "My name is Emily. I'm a single mother of my son. I had dreamed of one thing before my marriage: have a happy family with a husband and kids. I didn't need to wish for anything grand. A kind husband and a handful but loving children. Maybe two. It had been my dream for many years to fulfill my simple wish. I had no major drama in my life. My parents raised me in an ordinary way with 2 older sisters. I wasn't craving anything. I just wished to have ordinary happiness as a woman. My husband and I were both 29 when we got married. It was an office romance, which led to his proposal to me. I am more of a square-headed, stubborn person, and he is more carefree. We were seemingly ill-matched. But to me, his spontaneous personality was very appealing at the time. He had something I didn't. I was also a little impatient being about to turn 30. After we were engaged, we spent picture-perfect days from meeting each other's family to the wedding and honeymoon. I had no doubt that my wish would come true, but reality didn't work out that way. "Are you pregnant yet?" Andy asked me in our bedroom a year into our marriage. I felt a sting in my heart. We were open to having children from the beginning of our marriage. Not only was it my dream, but his intention was to have them as soon as possible. The fact that he once mentioned it would influence his career bothered me a bit. But he was positive about it, at least. We never missed an opportunity, even if the pace was a bit overwhelming. Still, there was no sign of conception in my stomach. "Maybe there's some problem with you." "That's something I'll have to look into properly." "If you say that, you've got to help out too. Whether or not we have a baby is both of our responsibility." "Are you saying I got a problem?" "No way. It can't be me." "I'm not saying that." "Isn't it usually an issue on the female side? If you're going to the hospital, make sure you get checked properly. I can't last long if I have to keep shooting like this for nothing." "Don't say it like that." My heart sank at his vulgar remark. We had no idea which one of us had a problem at that point. Yet, he sounded like he'd already decided that it was my fault. He blamed me because I couldn't conceive like average women. I was driving myself crazy and was slightly neurotic. I went to the hospital numerous times, but the doctor couldn't find anything obviously wrong with me. When I told Andy this, he reluctantly went for a checkup as well. But both of us turned out to be fine. Eventually, it was determined that the cause was unexplained infertility, and we subsequently proceeded with combined treatment, including timing therapy. Having to go to the hospital so often to estimate ovulation dates was stressful for me. Also, it was very uncomfortable to act upon it after being urged that those days had a good chance of insemination. I felt like a robot. Andy didn't seem to mind and never showed any care when I was down after our time together. Around that time, he often used his busy work schedule as an excuse and started to be more absent-minded while with me. One day, after 10 years of marriage had passed in this way, "No way! I'm pregnant!" When I was told the result of the test at the hospital, I was too astounded to realize that I finally got my long-cherished wish of over 10 years. And I couldn't think straight at first. It was way overdue. For 10 years, all I could think about day after day was getting pregnant. And I was repeatedly discouraged by the test results. Those days finally paid off, and I was blessed with a long-awaited baby. 12 weeks pregnant. It was an irreplaceable treasure for me. I joyfully called Andy to share the news. "Listen, honey, I'm finally pregnant. We're having a baby." "Hold on. I'm in the middle of dealing with some issues at work. Tell me when I get home." I was taken aback by his stoic response. Did he not care about our pregnancy, even though it was a long-awaited first child? I tried to think that he was just too busy with work, as he said. It was my fault for calling him out of the blue. I was sure that he would be as happy as I was when he got home. But when he came home, he puzzled me with an unexpected question. "Are you seriously considering delivering that?" "That? What are you talking about? Are you referring to our baby?" "I mean that, in your stomach. It's gonna cost us to have that." "How dare you? It's a long-awaited baby. Of course I'm going to keep it. It's been my dream." "Think about your age. Do you remember how old you are? You are 39. 39 years old. That's already too old. It's not the right age to have a baby." "That's not true at all. I am not young for sure, but it's becoming normal to have a baby at 39 nowadays. My doctor even says there is no problem so far." "So far, right? Who knows what would happen later? What are we going to do if a child is with some abnormality? It's just gonna be trouble for us." I felt like I had been stabbed in the back when he said those words. Abnormal and trouble. Was he referring to the children born with handicaps? If so, his choice of words disgusted me. I answered in a stern voice. "It's not up to us to choose what kind of child will be born. Even with a handicap, I will still love my child the same. That's what being parents is all about." "I've heard that line somewhere. You're such a smartass, no matter how old you are. Your only strength is having virtue, which made me want to marry you. But I'm so fed up with it now. Fed up with me? If you want the baby, go ahead. But I want nothing to do with it. That baby is yours, not mine. How can you be so awful after 10 years of trying for infertility? Too late to produce result now. If an abnormal baby comes out, we become the caregiver for the rest of our lives, aren't we? We're supposed to have kids to take care of us in our old age. I was speechless by his idea. He thought the kids were just tools or something. Then I remembered when we were newlyweds. He made comments about having kids that were tied to his career at work. Apparently, in his mind, they were just things to help him in his life. I couldn't hold back my anger. I wanted to slap him. But before I could, he confronted me with something even more painful. If it comes to this, there's only a divorce left. I've been really sick and tired of you. When you couldn't get pregnant, you were depressed. How can you expect me to stay married to an old woman who finally got pregnant? Do you really mean it? I sure do. Let's go see a lawyer now, if you want. But I never agreed to alimony. I suffered for 10 years with your infertility. I should be the one who'll be compensated. You're such a... I was beyond disgusted and speechless. I had no problem getting rid of a husband like him. For the sake of my unborn child, it would have been wise to leave such a father once and for all. A month after I found out about my pregnancy, we filed for divorce. I didn't ask him for a cent as he wished. In exchange, I got him to agree that he would never have any contact with our child. He laughed and eagerly accepted it. But I never wanted my child to know that the father was awful. After our separation, I went back to my parents' house. They, both well over 70 years old, welcomed me back with open arms. Just coming out of a terrible ordeal, their warmth made me cry in front of them. What I went through was dreadful. I wailed, clinging to my parents. But I never forgot to be strong from then on. It was a duty of a mother. I promised myself that no matter what kind of child was born, I would make sure that he or she and I would be happy together. Then, a long time passed, 20 years after the divorce. My son Terry grew up without a problem. Andy's concern was unfounded. Terry was born in perfect health. Rather, he was too good to be my son. He had done well academically since he was little. And when it came to athletics, he was as good as anyone in his grade. He was also humble and didn't let those things get to his head. I love that about him most of all. No matter how capable a person was, it didn't matter if his character was crooked. I was so relieved that he wasn't like his father in that regard. He considered going to college, but there was something he was passionate about and chose to go straight to work. I felt a little disappointed, but I decided to quietly watch him do what he wanted to do. He was determined, and I had no say in it. If he happened to stumble, only then can I reach out to him. I had never needed to worry about him in the past anyway. 2 years after he started working, I was out shopping along with him. who was 20 years old and all grown up. My birthday was coming up soon, and he was going to buy me a present. You've been nothing but caring and supportive to me. I was easily moved to tears by his words. I was sure he had some hard times in his life, coming from a single-parent household. He did not show it and grew up very happy, so much so that I couldn't think of a better gift.
Hey, Emily.
It was then that I heard an unexpected voice. I ran into a familiar face at the entrance of the mall. The shivers ran down my spine when I saw Andy, still smiling in that same leering way after 20 years. There was a young woman I wasn't familiar with beside him.
What the heck? Your little bastard is still alive and well.
As soon as he saw Terry's face, he aloofly blurted. At that point, I thought about punching him in the face, but I held myself back because I was in panic. Above all, I couldn't let Terry see such a disgrace.
You still look as gloomy as ever. You haven't seen me in 20 years. Why can't you try to be friendlier? I know you can't do that, which is why I left you.
I have no recollection of being left by you. I was the one who gave up on you. That's why I've never reached out to you in 20 years.
That's what's so dreary about you. Well, I've changed a lot since then. I have a new wife and a kid who's about to start college.
You have a very young wife. Wonder how you fooled her.
Don't be jealous, Emily. Can't help it, I'm popular, right? My wife Susan and I got married when she was 25. It was right after our divorce was finalized. So, 19 years ago. I'm still thriving at night.
I don't want to know such a nasty thing. Remarry or whatever. Not my business. You've been irrelevant to us anyway.
Hey, don't be like that. I do sympathize with you. It must have been hard to raise him on your own. On top of it, that kid is a failure. Does he still need nursing? Or can he at least change his own diapers?
How dare you? I lost my patience and was on the verge of throwing the bag at him. It was Terry who stopped me immediately. Even after hearing his father's harsh words, he remained resolute.
Calm down, Mom. Don't take anything this guy says seriously. As you said, we have nothing to do with him. Oh, a failure can speak properly, can't you? Who told you to say things like that? Your doctor? Maybe your nurse?
Don't bother us anymore. And don't you dare come close to my mom. If you ever bring any harm to her, there will be consequences.
What a joke! What can a boy like you do against me? You are a failure from birth.
I'm a police officer. When Terry told him, he clearly became agitated. Terry went into the police academy right out of high school. He wanted a job where he could help people. That was the path he chose, instead of going to college. He had graduated from the police academy and was on duty at the local precinct. It may have come as a surprise to Andy, but even more surprised was Susan, who stood quietly beside him, listening to the conversation. She was holding her mouth and pointing her finger to Terry's face. Her fingertip was trembling. Police officer? He can't be. Are you my father's?
What the hell are you saying, honey? This bastard sure can't be connected to your father.
You're in trouble. Don't cross him. You could even lose your job.
Calm down, honey. What are you suddenly...
She dragged Andy by his arm, regardless of his inability to get her point. And they kept walking away from Terry and me. Andy's confused expression until the end made an impression in my head. I too had no idea what just happened. Susan seemed to suddenly run away from us as soon as she recognized Terry's face. "What's going on, Terry? Do you know that woman?"
I don't know. She mentioned her father. Maybe she meant the chief.
What he said actually told the truth of the matter. It wasn't until a week after we encountered Andy that I learned the details. I received a call from Andy for the first time in 20 years. Back then, cell phones were just coming out. And the only thing I hadn't changed since then was my number.
Please, Emily, let me speak to my son.
What's going on? What do you want from him after all this time?
I'm about to lose my job. I had no idea that he was on friendly terms with Susan's father.
He sobbed as he continued in the desperate voice. To sum up his story, his current wife, Susan's father, used to be a police officer. Moreover, he was a big deal, as he once had the title of chief of police. There was a newcomer whom the former chief had a great deal of interest in, and that person was my son, Terry. Soon after he was posted, he took credit for catching an arsonist. He became a well-known local police officer early on that caught the former chief's attention, and Terry was taken care of both at work and private by him. Of course, I had heard about this from his before, but I had no idea that the former chief was Andy's father-in-law. Furthermore, according to Andy's story, the former chief was even planning to set up a marriage for Terry and make him a son-in-law out of love for him. The former chief had a granddaughter in college, and it was an open secret among the family that he would be perfect for her. Of course, he didn't hear that much.
I heard my father-in-law is very fond of Terry. He found out that I dumped you guys 20 years ago from the incident the other day. He's outraged now. The old man is long retired, but he hasn't changed since he was a hardcore police chief.
I'm sorry to hear that. So what are you trying to achieve by talking to Terry?
I want him to talk to my father-in-law. I'm in a position to get a job from him. A job for the security company, you know? Cops have strong connections to each other, don't they? If I get on his bad side, I'll lose my job.
That's your own doing, isn't it? That's how little trust he had in you, to begin with. If you were recognized as a decent person, your son's story wouldn't cost you your job.
Don't say that. My wife is also very upset when she found out about Terry. She asked me how I could behave like that toward my son. She was the one who told her father, if things continue like this, my wife will leave me too.
She's making a wise decision. Because you could be like that with Terry. You might eventually do the same to her child. What goes around comes around. Why don't you just gracefully remove yourself from the equation?
Hey, if that happens, would you mind if I live with you at your place? I can't live alone. It's too lonely to be alone in my old age. I'll take good care of Terry too.
Too bad. He will be fine without you. Having said that, I tapped on the end button. Andy was ranting to no end. I turned off my phone as well and decided to ignore his calls. To be honest, he deserved to be in the situation he was in. He had caused Terry and me so much pain in the past. So it was his turn to be punished for it. Even if his family threw him out, we weren't going to help him. I was sure that even my son wouldn't want to help people like him. Later on, I heard a rumor on the wind that he was on the street. His wife apparently dumped him in no time. There was no doubt that the former chief had his way. He had even talked to Terry about it. Terry didn't tell me the details, but just said that I didn't need to worry about anymore. Nearing 60 years of age, Andy lost his job and family. It's too late to regret that he should have been happy about my pregnancy back then. Terry and I are living our own lives. We already have a little happiness. It's not exactly what I envisioned a long time ago, but I'm content. My proud son continues to do his job to the best of his ability, for people and for society.
My husband thinks I'm only a housewife and continues to treat me badly, but the truth is...
Huh? An overseas business trip? Don't you dare tell me such a stupid lie. You're just a housewife. If you keep lying to me any longer, I'll divorce you. My husband doesn't believe my story at all. It seems to me that he doesn't give a damn about me anymore. He just wants a woman to be his housekeeper. What? What the hell is this? Some papers are on the table. When I returned home from a business trip, I found a petition for divorce there. If you don't want a divorce, come to my parents' house and get down on your knees. When I saw that message from my husband, I immediately went outside and got into my car. My name is Ariel. I'm a 35-year-old jewelry artist. My custom jewelry has been selling well lately. The pieces I've created through meticulous work have spread through social networking sites over the years. Now, my annual sales have reached $400,000. It took me a long time to get to this point. Still, the joy of being able to do what I love, it's something I wouldn't trade for anything. I am on the right track with my work. But in my personal life, I have a big problem. That is my husband, Chris. He didn't understand my work and even started making fun of me. I keep trying to explain my work to him, but he never believes me. If it continues like this, I may have reached my limit. I had come to the point where I was thinking those negative things. My husband Chris and I met 10 years ago. We met on a blind date set up by a mutual friend. We hit it off immediately and became attracted to each other. At the time, I was an employee of a large jewelry retailer. My husband is an office worker at a small business. He doesn't make much, but at least has a decent job and is working very hard. At the beginning, he was a gentleman and sweet to me. We had a great relationship as a couple. One day he proposed to me and we got married. After we married, he said he wanted me to focus on stuff around the house, if possible. So I quit my job. At the time, I also had a dream of becoming a jewelry artist and creating more of my own pieces. But due to its popularity, the jewelry store was very busy and short-staffed. So I had no time to work on my own pieces, and I was feeling a bit impatient. It was a perfect opportunity for me to quit my job. I became a full-time housewife and devoted myself to making artwork in my free time during the day. At the time, my husband was very encouraging toward my work. Wow, The design and the precision are amazing for such a small piece.
Thank you, hon. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Ariel, you are a genius. I can't believe you can make something like this. My husband's praise made me very happy. I continued to work on my pieces. In the beginning, I sold a few items at online auctions. It was a great pleasure for me to be able to actually deliver my work to someone. This experience strengthened my desire to become a jewelry artist. My parents and friends supported my dream and gave me a lot of advice. One of my friends told my story to his friends who runs a business, and he told me how to sell my products and how to do business. They even reached popular jewelry artists for me to learn something new. They all helped me to achieve my dream. Thanks to them, I was able to set up my own website to sell my products. I also started posting on social networking sites, and the number of followers quickly grew. In a few years, I succeeded in creating a platform for spreading my work around the world. All I had to do was create more and more works and sell them steadily. I continued to work hard. I created new pieces, took pictures of them, and posted them on social networking sites. Then I would direct people to my online store to purchase my products. Day after day, the process repeats itself. As I continued this steady activity, sales gradually increased. I was earning at least $4,000 a month. When I told this to my husband, he was surprised and could not believe it.
No kidding! Are you really earning that much?
Yeah, I'm getting paid pretty well. Whoa, Ariel, it's amazing you can earn money like that.
I can't imagine what it's like for me as a normal office worker.
I thought it was a cute reaction and laughed a little because he was so surprised. At the time, I thought that I would like to see more of his cute reaction. I continued to create and promote more works. The number of designs now exceeded several hundred. I am also making pieces to order based on the customer's desired design. In any case, I make a piece after receiving an order. So even though I have a lot of designs, I don't have that much extra stock in my room. Therefore, I can secure a place to work, even if it is only in my room. I continued to work in this way, and my sales grew steadily. But one day, my husband started acting differently. He started to give me the cold shoulder.
Hey, Ariel, are you still in this hobby?
What? I mean, this is my job.
What are you talking about?
Just because you make a few extra bucks, you call it a job? What? You don't have to say it like that. I take pride in each and every piece I make.
Nobody cares about the pride of a housewife like you.
Why are you coming at me like that?
You stay in your room day in, day out.
You're kinda creepy, you know? What? How can you? Besides, I take care of the house properly. I make your lunch every day, clean the house, and prepare dinner, don't I?
Of course. You are a stay-at-home housewife. That's what you're supposed to do.
No, I'm a stay-at-home businesswoman.
Huh? What the heck is that? But at the end of the day, it's just a way for a housewife to kill the time. It's better to take a class or something.
That's how my husband dissed my work.
While he goes out and works hard at the office, his wife is at home happily creating artwork.
My husband felt that this situation was unfair and didn't like it. After that, he started to complain to me about everything. You have time to make such things. You should be more particular about your cooking. Who in the world is going to buy those things? What's the fun of continuing this old-fashioned hobby? I mean, you don't have any talent, do you? My husband repeated insincere words continued to stress me out. So I started to keep in my room locked up while I worked on weekends. My husband didn't like that, so he started going out on weekends. We had been married for about 7 years. We've been living like this for a long time now. I was hoping that we could be good partners again like we used to be. But he is behaving so badly that I am forced to defend myself. Then, a job offer came my way. It was from a friend of mine who lives overseas. The president of the jewelry company she works for was very pleased with my work. She wanted me to create some new pieces for her company and sell them exclusively to her top customers. Since it was a corporate commission, the reward was quite large. I knew I had to take this on, so I immediately responded with my acceptance. I was going to communicate with the president through a friend, but the president of the company asked me to meet her in person. She wanted me to create a work after getting good ideas for the company's culture. She also invited me on a vacation to visit Scandinavian town in Europe for a few days. I was even more excited. I never dreamed that I could go abroad for work. But the business trip was for 2 weeks. That means I won't be able to do any housework during that time. My husband and I were not talking much, but I decided to tell him anyway about the job opportunity. But as I expected, his reaction was cold. What? An overseas business trip? Don't you dare tell me such a stupid lie. You're just a housewife. I'm not just a housewife. I'm also a businesswoman. The jewelry I'm making is being sold as products. It's a respectable job. How many times do I have to tell you? I'm tired of your delusions. Why don't you just concentrate on your housework? If you keep lying to me, I'll divorce you. Divorce? How can you say such a thing? It's because you are a lying piece of shit. My husband doesn't believe me at all. And don't you dare joke about being away from home for 2 weeks. Your job is to prepare food and bath for me and clean my room. He doesn't give a shit about me. He just wants a woman to be his housekeeper. If I kept listening to him, I would let him ruin my big opportunity. So I decided to leave him alone for the time being. I was going on a business trip no matter what he said. So I hurriedly started packing. After a long flight, I arrived in Europe for the first time. The streets of Europe are picturesque in themselves. Even the exterior of an ordinary house was a work of art. Jewelry stores lined the street. I analyzed the features of the jewelry in detail, actually touching and feeling the pieces. The meeting with the president went well. I ate delicious local food and picked out souvenirs for my family and friends. And since I was commissioned by the company, I didn't have to pay for any of it. I thoroughly enjoyed my stay, thinking of all the hard work I had done so far. Ideas for new jewelry keep coming to my mind. I was looking forward to going back home and creating my work. The president of the company is a very trustworthy person with high aspirations. I finished my business trip in a state of excitement, grateful for the good encounters I had made. Meanwhile, I received many messages from my husband, but I decided to talk to him when I got back home and focused on my work. I never responded to him. When I returned home, he had a surprise for me. What is this? A few sheets of paper on the table. When I returned from a business trip, I found a petition for divorce there. My husband was very angry because I had not returned home for a long time, and he wanted to divorce me. I immediately called him on the phone. "Where are you? What the heck with that divorce papers?" And this is what he yelled at me. "I don't need a useless piece of shit like you anymore. You are so absorbed in the stupid hobbies that you end up skipping chores and traveling overseas. You've got to be kidding me. Who do you owe your luxurious life to? You should know better, Ariel." I felt my love for my husband suddenly disappear. How could he hurl such terrible words at me? Moreover, my husband said to me, "If you don't want a divorce, come to my parents' house and get down on your knees. Then I maybe reconsider it." When I heard the words from my husband, I immediately got out and got into my car. I was so fed up with my husband that I decided to file a petition for dissolution. I went home first and explained the situation to my parents, and I moved all my belongings to my parents' house with their help. I decided to go ahead with the work while living at home for the time being. In the meantime, my husband sent me text messages telling me to hurry up and apologize and not to be so stubborn. But I ignored them. Then, about a week after I left home, my husband started to call me on my phone all day. I decided it was time to pick up the phone. "Ariel, what the hell is going on? Why is all your stuff gone?" "Of course, it's because I left." "Are you kidding me? How long are you going to act like that?" "What are you talking about? Act like what?" "I'm already fed up with you, Chris. You're not going to understand my work forever. You're still talking about your hobbies. What an idiot. I mean, you've been delusional for years now." "What?" "I don't care. Then go ahead and think I'm delusional. We're gonna be strangers anyway." "Oh, thank you for the papers you left behind. I filed them with the court." "What? What the? Did you file them? That was just a threat." "Chris, you are such an asshole. But even if it was a threat, you actually prepared the papers. It proves that you did intend to divorce me." When I said that, he started to lose his temper. "Enough. Whatever. If you want, I'll divorce you. Ariel, you will regret this. You can't even make a little money on your own. Without me, you'll have to live a poor life from now on. I'm gonna live a great life here in this house by myself. I can use all the money I earn only for myself now that you are gone. Suit yourself. I told you, you and I are strangers now." I said that and quickly hung up the phone. After that, I spent my days at home, concentrating on my work. Thankfully, my mother mostly did the housework, so I can work even more than before. I never run out of good ideas because I don't have to be bothered by anyone. Then my husband called me again. What the hell do you want this time, Chris?
Why is the rent so high?
What are you talking about? You said you wanted to live there.
But how did you manage with this kind of rent?
Now you realized? I was already making more money than you. So I was paying half the rent. Even living expenses like food and stuff came out of my income. My husband was speechless when I said that.
Jesus, you really made that much money?
You still don't believe me at all. You're helpless. Well, you should just go on living like that, living by your means. You can only understand the reality when the money starts running out. When I said that, he became very calm.
I'm sorry, Ariel. I'm sorry. Please, come back.
Let's start again. What? Are you kidding me? After giving me so much pain, there's no way we can start over now. Don't call me anymore. You are a stranger to me, and I don't see you anymore. If you come to my parents' house, I'll report you immediately. Don't say that, Ariel. Please. My husband sounded like he was about to disappear. I ignored him, hung up, and blocked the calls. After that, my in-laws found out more about my ex-husband. I heard that he was kicked out of the house in disgust. And when he couldn't pay the rent, he was evicted from there too. Moreover, he thought he could afford to be extravagant when he divorced me. He bought a car, an expensive brand name goods, and spent a lot of money. Of course, all of that is now debt. And he is living in a shabby apartment while trying to pay off. It took a while, but I managed to get a formal divorce from him. I continue to work as a jewelry artist. My overseas work has been very successful, and I am in talks for an exclusive contract. I am thankful to be able to spend every day doing what I love. I will continue to put my heart and soul into my work, who buy my jewelry. Thank you for watching to the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next video.
My husband started throwing away my father's personal belongings when he thought my father was dying of cancer, but...
My name is Bella. I'm a 45-year-old housewife. My husband Peter and I have 2 high school daughters. We had a peaceful marriage with no drama. But that doesn't mean I don't have any complaints. There are many things about the children, but the biggest frustration is my husband. He is a nervous wreck for better or worse. He thinks that all the housework and childcare should be done by his wife, and he never tries to do any of it. In all these years we have been married, he has never taken out the garbage. He does not cook for himself, not even instant food. Even when I'm sick, he doesn't do it.
Don't slack off. It's your duty as a wife to take care of the house.
My husband is the kind of man who would yell at me like that. I never heard a word of concern or care from him. If he had at least brought home enough money, I would have been less dissatisfied. But my husband's income was low. I know it's because of the recession, but it's hard to live like this. Both of our daughters in high school want to go to college. I knew we would still have to spend a lot of money. I used to work as part-time, but it was getting hard to make ends meet, so I became a full-time employee. That made things a little better financially, but working a full-time job cut into my time for housework. I have to work overtime and sometimes came home late. My daughters are independent, so they willingly do what they can do on their own. The problem is my husband. He hates it more than anything when someone messes up his schedule.
Hey, it's almost 7 p.m. Why dinner isn't ready yet?
Whenever I work late, he calls me on my phone. When I rush home, he's super grumpy and ignores me. Are you a small kid? Just get yourself some food from a deli or something. If I try to tell him something like that,
What? I am so tired from work. Why do I have to do that?
he gets so angry. Sometimes I talk back to him. I'm working too, and I'm tired too, you know? I was fed up with my husband. One morning, I talked to my husband about something. I'm going to the hospital with my dad on Monday. My dad has aged a lot since my mom died 2 years ago. My parents' house is too far away, and I can't go there often, so I was worried about him. Then, my husband made me an unexpected proposal.
My parents are dead, and your father is now my only living relative. Would you like him to move in with us?
And my father is now living with us. My father has become completely weak in the legs and feet and has regular checkups at the hospital. Every time I take him to the hospital, my husband asked about his condition.
Is he going to be alright? How is he?
He's fine. He says he has to stay strong until he sees his great-grandchildren. My father and my husband seem to have no problem. It's comforting to know that you're concerned about him.
Huh? What are you talking about?
My husband immediately denied it. I was puzzled to understand what he meant.
I'm not worried about your father. Attending the hospital takes a certain amount of time and effort. I'm just making sure you have enough time to do your chores. Can you prepare dinner, clean the house? I'm asking you if you were doing everything properly, you know?
My husband was that kind of person. I'm so dumbfounded that I'm speechless. I sighed and hurried through the housework as usual. My husband's selfishness is an everyday occurrence. He has always lived as he pleased. He would complain about me working late, but he never leaves a single message when he is working late. When I send him a message asking him why he's not home, he's like, overtime, of course. Moreover, he never tells me in advance what he's going to do on his day off. He's always making plans on a spur of the moment.
We're going out today.
It's not uncommon for him to suddenly say stuff like that. If I tell him I have something to do, he asks me to cancel it, as if it's something absolutely right. It's just absurd. Especially in the last few years. He seemed to be working overtime more and more, and often misses dinner with us. And yet, he never contacts me, nor does he respond when I ask. So I have no choice but to prepare dinner for him every time. Only when I think he's working overtime and don't prepare dinner, he comes home on time and complains. He was a real pain in the ass. To be honest, I don't want to spend my old age alone with him. I found myself thinking about that. Then, on another Monday, I drove to the hospital with my father. We were supposed to go home after having the usual tests and hearing the result of the diagnosis as usual. But then, something unexpected happened. What? The doctor in front of me was making a difficult face. My father next to me is silently staring at the doctor. A cancer?
Yes, there is a suspicion of cancer during the endoscopy. Since a detailed examination is necessary, we'll have to ask you to stay in the hospital.
Oh no! I didn't know what to say. I don't even remember what the doctor said after that. When I got home, my father said he wanted to be alone for a while and hid in his room. When I saw the door to his room close, I went into my bedroom and shed tears. My husband came home late that night. I told him about my father. He listened in silence. I'm going to be busy with it, so it might be difficult for me to do stuff around the house, you know? My husband didn't like what I said, but he didn't say anything. I wondered if he indeed understands. That's what I thought at the time. But I soon learned that I was naive in that perception. On the holiday, right after my father was admitted to the hospital for tests, my 2 daughters were out and away. As I was walking down the hallway with the vacuum cleaner, I heard a noise coming from my father's room. Could it be a thief? I thought so and grabbed the hard pipe of the vacuum cleaner as a weapon. I fearfully looked into my father's room. I fell on the ground when I saw who it was. It was my husband. Peter, what are you doing? I asked my husband in a loud voice.
What am I doing? I'm throwing away stuff.
What?
You don't need your father's stuff anymore.
Oh my gosh, Peter! My husband is taking it upon himself to throw away my father's personal belongings. Clothes packed in big bags, his favorite books tied up with strings. Even his photo albums are in the trash. What the hell? Stop it! Just stop it! I tried to stop him in a panic.
But your father has cancer, right? He's not going to survive, so we don't need these.
My husband has just said the most ridiculous thing. What? We need more tests. We don't know yet. Don't you dare assume he's dying.
But he's lost a lot of weight lately. I'm pretty sure it's cancer. I will have this room when he's gone, you know?
You have your room? What are you doing? Really?
Shut up. I can do whatever I want.
My anger reached its peak with my husband's terrible words. He is a selfish man by nature. But I thought his relationship with my father wasn't so bad. I was even grateful to him for allowing me to live with my father. But this is just too wrong, too much to take in.
I was against moving in with him in the first place. You'd be neglecting the housework.
But you're the one who suggested having him moving in with us.
Well, I'm not getting anything in return for it.
What did you say?
Your dad is a cheapskate. I thought he would give me an allowance or something.
What? Did you expect such a thing? I was speechless for a moment. I have put up with my husband's arrogance my whole life, but this statement was so cruel. I screamed, feeling my eyes turn red with anger. I divorce you. Get out of my house, right now. My husband was so enraged by my fury that he became slurred and ran out of the house without a word. After a few days, I calmed down. However, I can't stand to be married to such a horrible person any longer. At any rate, I wanted to prepare the documents for divorce. I was not sure what the necessary procedures are. I went to a cafe, alone for the first time in a while, to think about the future. On my way home, I witnessed an unexpected scene. Half a month after I kicked him out, I got a call from my husband. He wanted to talk, so I let him. He seemed to be in a good mood and looked the same as before.
So, what is it you want to talk about? I've been thinking about it, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be weird for me to leave the house? You should be the one to leave.
Why is that?
Because I'm the breadwinner in the family. I'm the one who's been making you a living. So, why should I leave?
What is this person talking about? Has this person already forgotten? This house is in my father's name. My father bought this house, so it's only natural that you have to leave. I didn't think he had forgotten. I laugh at my husband's stupidity. Yes, the house belongs to my father. He bought it for us when we proposed moving in together. Before that, we lived in a tiny apartment. My father paid all the expenses for the new house, and I felt sorry for him for that. But my husband was secretly thinking to have some allowance from my father. How could he be so stupid as to forget who owns this house? How can he think that it is his house? This house will belong to me and my children when my father dies.
Whatever. Then it will be yours when your father dies, and it will be a joint property between you and me. Am I right?
What? What do you mean?
You said you were divorcing me. If we get divorced, we'll split the property. Then half of this house is mine.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong. An inheritance from one's parents can't be jointly owned by a couple. Too bad.
What? Really?
Well, there are exceptions, depending on the circumstances. But this house is still my father's.
I mean, your father will be gone soon, and this house will be yours.
Please, don't decide on your own that someone's father will be gone soon. Before my father is gone, you and I will be divorced.
Then I won't divorce you.
What an idiot he is. Do you think I'm going to say I'm not getting a divorce? And let me say one more time. My father is still alive.
He has cancer. He doesn't have that long.
When my husband said that, someone came in.
Too bad. I have a long life ahead of me, son.
My father appeared and said with a smile on his face. His legs were weak, but he appeared strangely energetic and high-spirited.
What? Why are you here?
My husband was in a panic. I guess he didn't think my father would be home when he was supposed to be in the hospital.
Of course I'm here. This is my house. And the tests are done, you know? What do you mean?
I quietly told my husband, who looked at me in a panic. My father didn't have cancer.
Huh?
The results of a thorough examination beneath a benign polyp that was easily removed. He's still weak in his legs, but otherwise, he's in excellent health.
What does that mean? It means that I'm going to live a long time.
My father took over my words and said with a big smile on his face.
Well, you made a mess in my room, Peter. It was hard to clean up. But, well, after the divorce, your room will be open. I can use it as a storage room, and I'll have more room. Thank you for leaving.
I didn't know my father was such a character. His miraculous recovery from his suspected cancer has given him a new lease on life. I guess he's 10 years younger. My husband, who had been in a state of shock for a while, came back to himself and gave a forced smile.
I'm glad you're doing well. Then, why don't you change the name of the house to your daughter as a gift while you were still healthy? No way. That's none of your business. By the way, You have been cheating on my daughter, haven't you?
What? Why do you say that?
You want to call it as a man's worthiness? You can't go by that excuse. You don't make much money. You can't say that.
In front of my husband's flustered eyes, I held out several photographs and documents. Can you explain this, honey? You said you've been in a business hotel for the past half month since you left home. But you've been at the house of your secret girlfriend. See? Here's the proof. I tracked them down using the private detective. Pictures showed my husband and the woman he was having an affair with making out. Yes, I had gone to a cafe that day and happened to see my husband. He was with her, holding hands and making out in public. I thought it was strange that your salary didn't change, even though you were working overtime. You've been visiting your mistress for a long time.
No, overtime was real.
You don't have to lie. I even checked with the company. They told me there's been no overtime for the past year.
Oh no.
You've been working a lot of overtime. That means the affair started at least a year ago, right?
That's...
So, you and I are getting a divorce. I'm gonna charge you alimony and child support. Be ready.
No, please, don't do this.
Now, get the hell out. My husband ran out of the house, hunched over the side of my furiousness. I don't need to tell you what happened to him after that. I filed for alimony against him and the woman he cheated on me with, plus child support for him. I need to make sure he pays for the children's future. He moved in with the woman he was having an affair with. They were left penniless after paying the alimony. They moved into a small old apartment and are forced to live in poverty. Even so, they were rubbing shoulders at first, but their relationship didn't last more than a month. How do I know? Because my ex-husband called me.
Listen, she doesn't do any chores at all. She gets up at random times in the morning and night, goes to bed, and never takes care of me. We always have to eat delivery or TV dinner. She doesn't clean the house, so there is dust everywhere. She doesn't take out the garbage, so there's no place to step in the house.
The woman with whom he was having an affair seemed to have been pretending to get his attention. But now they're living together, she's revealed her true colors. She's not even working. She's just hanging out at home.
I can't take it anymore. Please, help me.
What? Why should I help you? You are finally with someone you wanted to be with, even if you had to fake working overtime. I can't ruin that kind of happiness for you. Well, good luck with that. You made a fool of us, and you'll pay for it.
I'm sorry. From now on, I'll help you around the house. I won't act like a jerk to you, and I'll take good care of your father.
It's too late. There's nothing you can do now.
Oh no, wait, please.
Goodbye, Peter. I hung up. Listening to a stupid man's stupid story makes my ears itch. Then, apparently, my ex-husband lived his life with her and ran away. Their relationship was only good while it was a secret affair. I heard that my ex-husband had to quit his job because the truth had spread throughout the company, and people around are looking at him like he was a total jerk. He deserves it. Now that he's gone, my family is at peace. My daughters are enjoying life as usual. Their father was hardly ever home. And even when he was so selfish
that they have no feelings for him at all. They even laugh and say they are glad he's gone. Well, they were adolescents, so the idea of their father cheating was nothing but creepy. They say they'll never invite him to their weddings. Speaking of my dad, he's feeling much better now. He's having a lot of fun at the Senior Citizens Club. He seems to be getting to know the ladies in the club. I am still struggling with work and housework, but there are no more obstacles in my way. Life is beautiful now. I'd like to start preparing for a happy retirement. Thank you for watching till the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next video.
My husband went on an affair trip lying to me and our daughter, but he ended losing everything.
My name is Holly. I'm a 32-year-old housewife. I have a family of 3. My husband, Bruce, and our 7-year-old daughter, Daisy. My husband is a section manager at a securities firm. I used to be a hairdresser. My parents run a beauty salon, and I had planned to take over the business eventually. But life was going too fast with marriage and childbirth. I decided to delay taking over the family business for a while. I had no idea that I would find myself in the middle of a daytime soap opera. Please listen to the story of how I left my cheating husband. I met Bruce on a meeting app. From the beginning, I had a good impression of him as a kind and thoughtful person. At first, we only exchanged messages, but as we talked to each other about various matters, we fell in love and ended up getting married. However, there was a problem. From the beginning of our marriage, my husband did not help me with housework at all. I had hoped that this would change at some point, but there was no change at all. Still, as luck would have it, I soon became pregnant and had our baby girl, Daisy. Sure enough, my husband did not participate in raising our child. If I asked him to do anything, he would suddenly flip a switch and act like a jerk. I work hard to support the family. You were supposed to do everything around the house. Even if I ask him to do something very small, he can still destroy things if he is in a bad mood. In the end, I realized that it was impossible to ask for help, so I always did my best on my own. Furthermore, my husband's work suddenly became very busy when Daisy was getting to daycare. He was on more business trips and away from home even on weekends. Whenever he came home, he would often say, "I'm tired," and go straight to the bedroom. Even so, I thought I was taking care of everything at home for my busy husband. A day before my daughter's 5th birthday, I told my husband about the plan. "Bruce, tomorrow is Daisy's birthday, so let's all go out for dinner."
Yeah, okay.
My husband said yes, but he was somewhat preoccupied. Still, it's Daisy's birthday, so I guess it's all right. I made a reservation at a fancy restaurant in the neighborhood. I was a little concerned about whether it would be okay to use it to celebrate a kid's birthday, but they said yes. My daughter and I waited for my husband at the reserved time. The appointed time passed, and no matter how many minutes we waited, he did not show up. He might have been in an accident, so I called him. "Hello? Where are you?" My husband answered in a slightly angry voice.
What? I am in the middle of an important meeting.
I was a little surprised and complained to him in a grumpy voice. "I told you yesterday that today is Daisy's birthday." Then my husband suddenly became angry and said, "My current project is more important than Daisy's birthday. What the hell is wrong with you? Don't you understand the importance of my work?" With that, my husband hung up the phone. "Daisy, I'm sorry. Daddy's very busy. I'm so sorry." I apologized to my daughter, and she cheerfully replied, "It's okay. It can be helped with work, can't it?" After that, we had dinner together, acting cheerful so as not to make my daughter feel uneasy. After that year, my husband never had dinner with my daughter on her birthday. Something was bugging me. Then, the decisive event happened. My husband stopped spending Christmas with us because of his work. Daisy had just started the first grade, and Christmas was a special event for anyone. My daughter and I both believed that this time, my husband would make it up to us. Long before Christmas, my daughter had asked him directly, "Daddy, please come home early on Christmas Day. Promise?" My husband was not in the mood, but replied, "Yeah, I'll promise." I had a bad feeling about this. Still, I told myself that this time it would be all right. After all, it is Christmas. On this holy night, miracles can happen. On the day of the event, my daughter grabbed my husband before he left for work. "Daddy, you must come home early today. There is a feast waiting for you." But his answer shocked her. "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Daddy has a business trip today." "Huh? What? What did you just say? A business trip?" To our astonishment, my husband replied coldly, "It was suddenly decided last night. Don't you realize the importance of the project I'm working on? I've had enough of this. Anyway, I gotta go." I sent him off in shock. To make matters worse, my daughter developed a fever that night. I called my husband out of concern. I kept calling and calling, but he never picked up the phone. I even felt like I was doing something wrong. I called his office instead, because I didn't know what else to do. "Your husband? Isn't he taking a day off today? Due to illness?" "Huh?" I can feel my head spinning. He said he was on a business trip. I took a few deep breaths in a desperate attempt to get a handle on my stirred-up mind. I had a gut feeling. "Woman, my husband is having an affair." That night, my daughter's fever was well under control by the time she went to bed. I was relieved she's better. My daughter was sleeping peacefully. I had a glass of wine alone in the daze. Before I knew it, tears were streaming down on my face. My husband hurt my beloved daughter repeatedly. I need to be strong for my daughter. I vowed to my daughter, who was sleeping innocently, I'll find proof of the affair and get a divorce. And I will be living a happy life with my daughter. I silently decided. My husband didn't stay home for New Year's. I didn't even care. I no longer cried or grieved. Soon after the New Year, I hired a private detective to have my husband's background checked. The results were immediate. Exactly what I expected. Super guilty. I checked the photo of them going in and out of hotels. Disgusting. They also showed me photos of them eating and talking together and making out in public. I asked them to identify the woman and her social networking sites. It turned out that the woman was a direct subordinate of my husband. Her name is Tess, and she is 27 years old. She seems like a woman who likes to show off quite a bit, and one of the deciding factors was her social media. My husband had been seen in her posts on the same day of my daughter's birthday, Christmas, and New Year's. June 7th, on a date with my boyfriend. December 24th, staying at the Ritz-Carlton with my boyfriend. December 31st, hoping to be happy with my boyfriend forever. They had been dating for nearly 3 years. I was getting angry at my husband for cheating on me and my daughter. At the same time, my love for my husband plummeted from 0 to negative. For a few months, after I found out that my husband was cheating on me, I kept my cool, and I carefully made a plan for the future. Divorce is a given, but don't think you can get away with it easily. I would suddenly disappear from my husband's life. Let's start with the house. The house we were renting was just up for renewal. I secretly ended the contract and gave my husband no home to return to. Next, we need to find a place to move to. When I told my parents what had happened, they graciously agreed to let me go back to their house. My parents originally wanted me to take over the beauty salon. They were rather happy that I was coming back. Once the decision to move back home was made, it was just a matter of what to do with my belongings. I'd like to move all my belongings in secret on the day of the move. I moved our belongings little by little to my parents' house while my husband was away. My husband has never been interested in me. He didn't seem to notice that my belongings were gradually decreasing. I also decided to sell the refrigerator and washing machine I bought when we first got married. However, I asked the mover to pick them up on the day we move out, because it would have been obvious because they are big. On the day of the move, my husband was on a business trip. I guess he was having a good time with his affair partner. He left the house in the morning in a good mood. I sent my daughter off to school and packed up my belongings. Soon after, the moving company's truck arrived. One by one, the items of furniture were removed from the house. Then I received a phone call from my husband. I was surprised, and I picked up the phone. Hello?
Hey, it's me. What's going on? There seemed to be a lot of noise.
Oh no. I answer. I took the utmost care not to show my agitation. Noise? Oh, I'm out shopping right now. There's some construction work going on nearby.
I see. Well, I was supposed to come back tomorrow, but it turned out to be the day after tomorrow.
Great, I thought to myself. Okay, well, take care. I cheerfully hung up the phone. Then I hurriedly continued my work. Meanwhile, the movers finished their work. The refrigerator and the washing machine were out of the room. The room is suddenly deserted. After sending off the truck, I put the last of the small amount of stuff in the car. Then I locked the door and left the house. I was a little nervous as I picked up my daughter from school. We sat in a car, talking quietly. Daddy and Mommy can't be together anymore. So I decided to take you to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Your home may be different from today, but we will still be your mom and dad. I love you, Daisy. She listened to me with a mysterious look on her face. What about school? Oh, you won't have to change school. You will still have all your friends. Oh, well, then it's okay. I was taken aback by how easy she responded. My husband had always been cold to my daughter. He never played with her, even on his days off. On birthdays and Christmas, we found ourselves alone. He was not only not fulfilling his role as a husband, but also as a father. Long before I decided to leave him, I already didn't need him. 2 nights later, my husband called me.
What the hell? What's going on with the house?
Well, I've canceled the contract. We don't need you or the house anymore. I replied coldly. Where's the fridge and washing machine? My husband was super upset. I sold them all.
What? What the heck, Holly?
My husband was getting even angrier. I told him in a matter-of-fact manner. Anyway, I'll be waiting for you in the conference room tomorrow.
What do you mean?
I've spoken to your boss about all of this. He said he will be happy to talk to you and your affair partner.
What are you talking about?
My husband blurs it out. I'm sorry, but your boss already knows about your affair.
No. There should be a misunderstanding. You don't trust me? I'm disappointed in you. Come back here, right now.
My husband was upset, but I calmly continued. I can't and I won't. I'll see you tomorrow. I hung up the phone. The next day, I, my husband, the woman he'd been having an affair with, and my husband's boss, the head of the department, gather in the conference room. The atmosphere is really heavy and strange.
Let's start with you first, Bruce.
The general manager opens the conversation.
This is a misunderstanding.
My husband immediately retorts.
Tess and I only have a professional relationship. I'm sure we get along particularly well, but we've never had an inappropriate relationship.
Then, what about these pictures? I confronted him the pictures of them going into the hotel or making out. My husband was startled, but calmly replied,
We just happened to be passing through the area. Also, you can manipulate those pictures. It's all fake. You made up this whole affair to humiliate me.
How dare he can make up such a lie? Well, then, what about this? I read out loud Tessa's post of her Instagram. You look like you were having a good time. Partially, but you were in the picture. See? That's not him. That's someone who looks like him. Your husband looks exactly like my boyfriend. Tess cut in and answered. So it's all a coincidence. And you two have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Is that what you're saying? I stared at them, and they nodded. Well, I guess I don't have a choice then, I said, and I saw my husband and Tess smirk at me. I continued. Now then, since you're here, I'd like to meet your boyfriend. I'd like to see your boyfriend who looks exactly like my husband. If you can get him to testify, I'll be satisfied as his wife. What? Tessa's voice trails off. You heard me? I'm asking you to get him over here, I said firmly.
Her boyfriend is out of the country right now, so she can't bring him here.
My husband starts defending her. Okay then, could you please show me the pictures of your boyfriend in your phone? I persisted. Tess started scrolling up and down with her cell phone. Preferably one in a suit with a large upper body. I was watching carefully. And then a few pictures came up. photos of my husband in a suit. There! So, this is your boyfriend? My husband's look-alike? I asked quietly, and she answered clearly. Yes, you're right. Can you do a close-up of the necktie pin in this picture? Larger, a bit larger, please. Thank you. Wow, that typing. I gave it to my husband a long time ago. It has his name on it. You see? It's faintly reflected in the magnified letters. Are you still going to lie about it? I said, suppressing my anger. Well, that's... Oh no, shoot. My husband's head down, looking pale. I said calmly to him, please, contact this lawyer's office from now on. I put the business card on the law firm I had consulted beforehand on the desk. What the heck, Holly? My husband is stunned. I am divorcing you. My husband does not hide his upset at my clear statement. What? Divorce? What about Daisy? She's going to be in trouble if we divorced. No, she's not. She's gonna be totally fine. Daisy has already agreed to it, and I am going to raise her on my own. And then Tess, his affair partner, said the unthinkable. Yay! Now we can be together, Bruce. I know it's a little too late for that, but she confessed the truth in her own words. Tess, shut up! My husband yelled at her. I didn't realize you called each other by your first names at work. It's a friendly company, I told him sarcastically, and my husband insists. It's a misunderstanding. The photo is fake. Even the type-in was a coincidence. When my husband said that, Tess looked like she was about to cry. Why are you in such denial? You said you would marry me after you left your wife. What? No, I didn't say that. I interrupted him. No? You didn't say that? Explain it. Don't interrupt me. This is between me and Bruce. If you had just left him, none of this would have happened. This relationship has been going on for years. You should have known that, you insensitive bitch. I was offended by the words she threw at me. You are a bitch. Do you even realize that you destroyed someone's family? Whatever. This is a waste of time. You can have him. He's nothing to me anymore. The manager finally puts a stop to it. Cut it off. Bruce, your wife is the victim here. You've betrayed her many times. You're responsible. The same goes for you, Tess. I will report this to the CEO. He told them in a firm tone. Bruce, we can be together now, can we? Tess is still saying that. Jesus, Tess, stop it. We may be losing our job here. We have a strict compliance policy. If they find out, it's the end of my career. My husband was screaming in panic, and his stupid lover has no idea of what was going to come. The two of them kept yelling at each other. The manager and I left the conference room. We were both disgusted. Go ahead and squabble all you want. Not long after I visited the office, the divorce became official. In this case, my husband's infidelity was the direct reason for the divorce. Alimony and child support was to be paid in full. Of course, I was able to get alimony from the cheating partner as well. My husband was removed from his position and resigned because he could no longer work for the company. Tess, the cheating partner, resigned as well. Later, Tess's parents heard about the affair and were furious. Soon after, they decided to break up. Both my husband and Tess are currently looking for a job. I, on the other hand, took over my parents' hair salon. It's a thriving business because of the buzz around the newest management using social networking site. In addition to my parents' old customers, the number of younger customers has increased. My parents love having their granddaughter around. Daisy seemed to have no feelings for her father, who was always cold to her. I would like to remodel my parents' house in the near future. I don't think I'll ever forget what my ex-husband did to us. You can't understand the despair of being betrayed by someone you love unless you've experienced it. But I think his betrayal has made me an independent woman. I will work hard for my daughter. We have each other. That's all we need. From now on, birthdays and Christmas should be fun for the whole family. Thank you for watching till the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next video.